What do I say? Hi, hello there? Is it hi, hello there? 140 calories for 22 pieces? Oh! Okay.
Look at me. I'm so old.
Hi, hey, hello there. Welcome back to my space. Not my space, but my creative space here on YouTube. If it's your first time here, we are doing something a little bit different, but not entirely odd when it comes to my channel. Although I come off as a girly girl, which I am, throughout all of middle school and just a little bit of my high school, I used to play video games a lot. Starting from probably the 90s, I had the Nintendo 64. I used to play the Pokemon game and some kind of Rugrats adventure game. Then around the same time, I also had a Game Boy, again, Pokemon. Red, blue, yellow, there's no green, trick question. I might have gone up to platinum, but then once we got to the gemstones, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good on that. After having the Game Boy in middle school, then the Wii came out, I want to say sometime in the beginning of the 2000s. So I was around, I want to say 11, 12, 13, maybe around that age. So boop, 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 boop. Then also probably overlapping in that same timeline, I got the Xbox. I got an Xbox. I would play every day after school, and Halo was one of them. I've only ever played the first Halo. I did the campaign. I believe there was no such thing as like an online situation. I got to the Floods or the Spuds. They're like weird potatoes with growths coming out of them. It was really gross. It was actually disgusting and triggering for me now if I was to ever go back and play, but I don't. What else was on the Xbox? Oh, Dead or Alive 3, I believe I used to play, and some other fighting games that I was into, maybe some adventure games mixed in. But not only that, I also played PC games. And then once I was in high school or close to high school, probably like 13 or 14, I was playing Unreal Tournament all the time. Probably still one of my favorite games to play. I don't like Call of Duty for some reason. I'm just loyal when it comes to my games. So I actually played Germany's 4th best player. Okay, it was my dad's friend, Michael Mai. Shout out. I got like 4 kills on him. He had 8 kills on me, which is fine. Like, I was 14. Like, what do you want from me? I don't know if it's obvious, but I obviously played The Sims. Like, everybody in my age range at that time was playing The Sims. And again, I only messed with the first Sims. I didn't necessarily love the expansion packs, and I definitely don't fuck with the Sims that they have nowadays. Then there is Black and White. Black and White 1. I don't like the second one. Black and White was and still is one of my favorite games. I don't play nowadays, but one of my favorite games. You basically play God, like your hand does everything in this realm that you have to like control, and there's other gods. It's a lot. There's like quests and adventures and challenges, and you have like a creature that you control, and I always had a cow. Anyway, long story short, and all that just to say, I am here today to review/react to the Halo series that is exclusively now on Paramount Plus. It came out March 24th of this year, so literally like this past Thursday. And my husband and I were so excited to check it out, so we watched it. But literally within the first 2 minutes of the episode 1, Contact, I had questions. And before I officially start this video and this review, this reaction, I just want to be clear. I am not shitting on the writers, producers, anyone involved in creating this series because it looks like it's going to be good. And I know you guys had time during COVID to like rewrite things and come up with things. And it's at the end of the day, fiction. And I totally get that. But when I'm watching a movie, a TV series, or playing a game, I immerse myself in that shit. So I unfortunately/fortunately think of things like in the real world, and I just have questions for the writers when it came to their creative choices. So question number 1, I appreciate in this series that the casting, whoever was responsible for casting, we have a diverse group of actors. We have Asian, we have African American, we have someone from Great Britain, and then other nationalities, ethnicities, colors sprinkled in this colony that we are introduced to in the first scene. And my question was, the year is 2552. And when I saw this diverse group, I was wondering, would there not B, hear me out. I was even debating on whether I was going to include this. There was an article I read years ago, pre-pandemic, about the population and how, thanks to technology and travel and tolerance turning into acceptance, we've had an interracial breakthrough with love, relationships, marriages that form families that are a little bit more mixed. So my thought was 500 so years from now, my husband and I are interracial. I'm Black and Asian. He is Italian and Irish. Mix those together, we're going to have a beautiful beige baby. Now, it might be a little bit darker, it might be a little more fair. I'm going to be happy either way. But since a lot more of the population is also on that trend, and if they decide when they grow up to have an interracial relationship, and have more beautifully blended children, then the beautiful mixes of these nationalities, ethnicities, colors will look more beige. So the only question I had here was, the two answers to my question that came up is, this is Hollywood and they want to be more inclusive, which I appreciate. I love to see representation past our just beautifully beige counterparts in the Black community. So I get that. But then I thought to myself, there's probably other colonies that are more blended, and this one just happens to have a more diverse group, which I appreciate. So moving on, we're introduced to the colony here who has rebelled against, I forgot to look up that abbreviated organization. There's this organization out there that has all the technology and that are supposedly taking over planets and stuff. And so there's these colonies in deserted areas that are trying to rebel against that and have full independence. But we're going to fast forward to our main character, who happens to be a teenager with her friends. They're out in the desert outside of the colony, like guarded gate course, because that's what teenagers do. Hair is giving me this Dutch artist vibes. As you can see here, the friend is also sporting this hairstyle. I'm low-key a hater because I can't pull off this look, so I had to resort to space buns for today's video. So they're looking around to what I believe, drugs that grow under rocks, and they're all about to enjoy a little bit of a high together. But buckle up, kids, because you won't have any time to develop an understanding nor an emotional connection to these characters, at least her friends. Now, when this scene popped off, just a little over 5 minutes into this episode, I knew right then and there the writers, the producers, everyone who's involved in this were not fucking around. They want your attention and they got it. Before you even know who's who, their names, their relations, where they're from, they get blown to bits in this scene. And I mean blasted. Not only was it abrupt, but it was like graphically violent. And I was low-key not prepared for that. Because when I think of the Halo game, you really don't see blood and guts and arms being blown off. But you get all of that in this scene. However, our main character, Quan, escapes, hides behind a rock, and sends off a flare into the sky, which again, question number 2. You mean to tell me in 2552, people don't have a basic technology like a beeper of some kind? Like, alert, press this button if you are any kind of danger, because there's danger literally lurking everywhere. And my husband and I had a little bit of a discussion about it. Like, maybe they're so deserted and they're so rebellious that they don't have the technology. They're just in like survival mode. So they're not equipped with things that can benefit them, like cell phones and pagers is what I came up with. But the best thing they could come up with 500 years into the future is flare guns. Gotcha. Not only that, someone is constantly out there with binoculars looking up in the sky to see if there's a flare going off. So that's exhausting. Then he tells a child to go run and tell that. Again, is there not a button we can press, or maybe a horn of some kind, so that it, like, the message can be delivered a little faster and a little bit more efficiently? But that's just me. Again, I understand this is fiction. The creative decision was for buildup and suspense and letting the audience know, like, shit's about to go down. I get it. But I like to think of practical world. Sue me. Now, fast forwarding only a little bit more into the scene, we already know shit was about to go down, and it does. The Covenant, which are these really big aliens, barges their way into the colony. Everybody has their guns out. Everybody's preparing for war. But these aliens, the Covenant is just way too strong, too big, and their weapons are just more deadly. However, question number 3. Now, I'm not a scientist, I was never good at math, but in this scene, when the Covenant has contact with a truck type vehicle, he knocks it with his arm and pushes this way, so outwards, but we see the truck driving and gets knocked this way when you would think it goes that way. I wish I had some toy trucks and stuff to be able to reenact this scene. So if anyone can tell me if I'm just tripping or like just call me out, that's fine. But to me, the physics just doesn't add up. Again, hubby and I had a discussion like maybe he tilted it, like his arm when he was pushing tilted it so that it would go this way, but I would have preferred the car to just, if you're pushing this way, I would have preferred the car to just be knocked over that way. Especially when I was told that these episodes cost $10 million. $10 million.
$1 million
To make an episode. Now, there are 9 episodes in this season. So if I've added things up correctly, and also the article I read said this, the season 1 of the Halo series cost $90 million.
Sorry. $100 billion.
To make. Maybe I said that too slow. The Halo series season 1 cost $90 million to make. So again, I'm not shitting on the director and the producers and the graphic designers, but the car flipping this away when you hit it that away, it's just, I was taken aback. Anyway, moving on. Now, shortly after this scene that I was clearly upset about, I do appreciate the producers including that nostalgic Halo sound of being hit. And then that mechanical sound of the armor recharging. Oh, let me get back to our main character, Quan. She actually made it back into the colony because, you know, she was outside with her friends who are all dead now. She actually made it through the gates before the Covenant got there. She warned her father, and then her responsibility was to get all of the miners and people who aren't able to, I guess, handle a semi-automatic weapon into this like locked and gated hideaway that the community had built just in case of emergencies such as this. But at some point she actually gets out of this hideaway because she notices her dad is like under a truck, and so she's trying to save him. But in doing so, I'm kind of skipping through this scene because I wanted to get to this scene. My husband called it that the dad would have an epic death scene, and I called it that the daughter unfortunately would witness it, like up close and personal. Now, zipping through some specifics of the scene, I wanted to get to the point where basically Master Chief and 2 other Spartans come and sort of save the day. I mean, everybody in the colony is killed except for Quan, but at least they killed all the Covenant aliens who busted up the place, but they were like 5 minutes too late. Especially Master Chief being like literally 30 seconds too late after Quan's dad died in front of her. So I was just like, okay, that was actually not helpful. They leave the premises. Quan is left emotionally paralyzed, hovering over her dead dad's body, and like, I guess trying to figure out what she's gonna do next. I mean, literally she's witnessed all of her friends being blown up and her dad being strangled and gutted at the same time. She gets her act together and she decides to follow Master Chief and the Spartans, which is probably the best course of action considering she's lost everyone she's ever known. So Master Chief is trying to retrieve this stone from this cave. I'm gonna, again, fast forwarding past some details, but basically there's an alien lurking in that cave, and luckily Master Chief and them dodge another death. Okay, sorry. My dog wanted to join the fun. Say hi, Charlie. Say hi. He's such a poser. If you see my arm moving, I'm petting my dog who is on my lap right now. Okay, like I said, they dodged a bullet again by this Covenant, and as they're chasing him out of the cave, the Covenant goes into like invisible mode, and of course, Quan is in the way of his escape route. So as he's escaping, Quan gets knocked out cold, hits her head on a rock, and is actively bleeding on it. So I just wanted to start a concussion tally here for Quan because she's been through a lot. Plus, this girl becomes unconscious several times in this episode alone that I wanted us to take note of. Now, I believe the next scene we are introduced to this doctor called Halsey. And the first thing we see was this fashionable and practical, functional jacket with the large split down the middle. Now, do you know what came to mind for me when I saw that coat with that large slit all the way up her back.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone needs a coat like that. Now, fast forwarding on the conversations we don't really need to know about, but I just wanted us to pause and look at it at this scene. And I think we're on question 4. Is this Cortana? Is this Cortana? Because I remember her being purple and looking like a human. But is that Cortana? Y'all let me know what you think in the comments, because at this timestamp, is that Cortana? Now, another conversation that I was perplexed about is the fact that this doctor or assistant, when asked when are they arriving, he replies with better part of the day. Now, I don't know about you, and maybe I'm just like not old-fashioned enough, or maybe I'm not hip enough. I don't know which one it is, but I have never in my existence heard, when are you arriving? Oh, the better part of the day. We didn't have the captions on at first. Like, usually I love subtitles for my movies because I'm very used to that. And it helps me sometimes, especially if people have strong accents. But at first I thought he said the third part of the day, as if to mean like maybe between 3 and 8. I don't know. I just felt like that would have made more sense. But again, hubby was like, no, he said the better part of the day. So we put the captions on, subtitles. And lo and behold, better part of the day. Am I the only one who didn't get that? Like, who has never heard that before in their life? That's a question. It's sort of a question. Question number 5. Better part of the day. Better part of the day. Now, after this doctor scene, she's basically being told not to do things and also told to do things when it comes to Master Chief and them being back on the way. I forgot to mention that Master Chief saved her / imprisoned her on the ship. Saved her by, I guess, taking her out of the desert where she was knocked out and had no friend or family in the world to take care of her, but imprisoned her because she's on this ship with him and he won't let her out. Eventually they talk, but it seems like she's a prisoner in the beginning of this particular scene. But then we're introduced to more characters in this episode, one of which looked very familiar. After I looked him up, I knew he was British. Like, the moment I saw him, I was like, that's a British actor. The next thing I was wondering is, what accent is he about to have? Is he about to have his beautiful British accent?
Move your fucking hands!
Or are they gonna make him...
That's not entirely fair. Work is the only thing that matters. You know, you are a lot like her.
Why? Question number 6. Why? Why? Not to shit on him in any way as an actor, as a performer, but I just have an ear for it. I grew up with and around predominantly British, Scottish, Irish children / people. So I can almost tell when an actor is not American, like naturally American. Now, the actor from House, he has it, I don't know how he has it, but he has it down pat. The actor from Norman Bates Motel, he does a good job at it too. I think there's a little bit of a twinge that I can hear sometimes, but it's rare. Idris Elba also does a good job. Like when he was Charles in The Office, did a good job. Would never have known he was British because he played that part well, but it also might have been because he had a smaller part, so I didn't hear enough. But this actor with the American accent, it's just, it's a tiny bit cringy for me, especially when he said compliment.
You mean that as a compliment?
I just heard it all and I was just like, why couldn't they have just left him as British? Anyway, fast forwarding further into the episode, we get to a point where Quan and Master Chief are talking because she finally gets to eat, and they're just talking about, she brings up the fact that she recognizes him because he actually killed her mother. And he tries to explain to her, like, that's just what I was told to do, and you just don't know what happened. I have to make rash decisions or something. But when I got to this part of the scene, I was low-key, high-key mad. So here is question number 7, okay? Why did the camera pan from Quan to the back of Master Chief's head to Quan again? When you have a pan like that, I expect a flashback. And she was talking about her mom and what had happened. We could have easily had a very small scene of a reenactment of whatever was going on. Make a flashback filter, make it foggy, make it white, you know how they do it in Hollywood. Do that. But when you did the pan from Quan to the back of his head into open lighter space, I did not expect to see Quan again. I expected a flashback. And again, like for something that took $10 million to do, something as easy as that would have satisfied my visual consuming viewer needs. Okay, then all of a sudden he gets direction to basically kill her, like terminate this subject. And when he acts like he's not about to, then the people back at the headquarters take things into their own hands and they start dropping the oxygen level. And Quan is about to faint. Master Chief catches her, but then they notice, okay, well, he's not being affected by this oxygen level dropping. So we're going to go ahead and drain all of the oxygen from his helmet / bodysuit armor thing. And so he faints and drops her ass. So concussion number 2, please. Skipping through some conversations and some situations, I wanted to talk about this one scene where we see 3 Spartans crossing this really long bridge. Now, I understand that this scene is for the viewers to understand this is a very well-oiled machine. It's a huge headquarters project, mission, whatever's going on here, where there's an enormous amount of space, a lot of machinery, a lot of people who are involved. Clearly they have all of the resources and the money that they need to sustain their power, as well as obliterate others if they choose to, which they pretty much are like in the process of doing. But seeing these 3 Spartans crossing a bridge, a very long bridge, they're walking with their weapons, you know. On the other end of that bridge is the doctor, Dr. Halsey, and she's talking. Through this whole scene, she's talking. So what question are we on? Are we on question 8? My question when this scene popped up is, can the 3 Spartans hear her in their helmet? And if so, why is she even here? Like, why are you even there if they can hear you no matter where the fuck you are? Question 8B. If they cannot hear her as they're walking across the bridge, why is she talking? And she's only talking like on like the same level or same volume the whole time. So what I was thinking about is, as they're walking and she's got like this whole speech or this whole like list of commands that they need to do, all I can think of is through those helmets and like them being so far away, are they like, what? What did you say? That just doesn't make sense. So again, if homegirl can be heard through their helmets, why is she even there? I get it. And I get it. I really understand the reason for it. But it's just like, to me, it just felt ridiculous. But I understand the mood, the vibe, the aesthetic that they're going for. Like, she is in command of them and they're at her beckoning call and she's powerful and all that. I get it. Anyway, okay, you guys. So we're coming to the end of the episode and Quan revives herself somehow from being unconscious from like the oxygen. I think Master Chief helps her out in that regard. Like he puts the oxygen levels back to normal and she, I guess, comes back too. But when he also comes back to, he sees her with a gun to his face, because, you know, obviously she's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to kill me? Don't come near me. Don't touch me or else I'll kill you. And, you know, she's standing there with the gun and basically he tells her, oh, this is so-and-so titanium armor. You're not even going to put a dent in it, girl. And then he takes his helmet off, which is like one of those scenes that you're grateful for. You're so grateful. You're finally going to see what Master Chief looks like after all of these years of playing this game. You don't even know if it's possible. It's a thing. He takes it off and then it's Porn Stash. You guys. You don't remember Porn Stash? Orange is the New Black. Pablo Schreiber. Pablo, Porn Stash, Master Chief. Now, I I will give him a chance. I have no choice but to. But right now in this first episode, I could not take him seriously because all I could see was him fucking inmates, fictional inmates. Yeah. Another greasy thing. So, you know, it's great that he's been given this central / main character role. He's a great actor in general, but because of my baseline of him and knowing him from Orange is the New Black, it's going to take me a minute. But I will take him seriously, I'm sure, as the season unravels, which is one of my favorite words this year. Should this be a question? Like, who else was up for this part? John Cena? The Rock? Who else was up for this part? Who else? Porn Stash. Anyway, Porn Stash takes off his mask or his helmet. She sees his face. They become like an alliance because they're basically being both targeted at this point by doctors, scientists alike, want them dead, and politicians want them dead because they're basically rebels. And then just wanted to add one more one for the tally is when the ship gets controlled by headquarters instead of Porn Stash, and Quan goes flying to the back of the ship and hits the back of her head. So this is concussion number 3. This girl has not only lost all of her friends and family, but she has now had 3 bashes to the head, if not just gone unconscious. And she is still running around. Now, I know this is a fictional character. She has in no way, shape, or form actually been harmed, physically hurt in any of these scenes. I just wanted to take note of that in case we need to see her come up with something creative or crafty with 3 concussions. Well, kids, we're getting to the end of the episode. I mean, like at the actual very end of this episode and the end of this video. And it has been such a wild ride. And we finally, at this timestamp, get to hear the almighty Halo intro music. The music we all know and love from the game. Finally, at 56 minutes into the episode, we hear that manly choir. And with that, that is my reaction. That is my review of this first episode. Now, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I just, like I said, like to immerse myself and think of things rationally when it comes to like storytelling and how things are unfolding. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction / review. I really can't wait for season 2, which is being released this Thursday and every Thursday on PowerPoint, really? Paramount Plus. If you guys like this from me, this little review / reaction of the Halo series, let me know in the comments if you want me to do episode 2. I'm gonna be watching it anyway, and if I have any more questions, comments, or concerns, I'd be happy to voice them on your behalf. If you have questions of your own, let me know in case I like miss something. I mean, I had to watch this like 3 or 4 times at this point, but I might be missing some key Halo themes. He's distracting me. Charlie, is there a reason why you wanted to pop up? All right, well, tell the people bye, Charlie. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.